Hey, welcome back, Knicks fans. Today's game was the Knicks versus Sacramento Kings. The Knicks defense showed up again for the fourth straight game, and it looks like they're for real. Although I'm a little scared to jump in because I think they're playing with my emotions a little bit. Dre, I'm here with Dre. What do you think, Dre? What's going on with these Knicks?
Yeah, I'm not sold yet. I'll take the wins. I'll take them as they come, but I'm not sold yet. We haven't really beat any of these teams that are at full strength,
Mhm.
but I do see the difference. It looks like Tom Thibodeau is trying to get back to his style of basketball, which is defense. It was an atrocity this early in the season where teams were averaging 115 points a game on us.
Yep.
And if he's such a defensive specialist, that shouldn't have occurred. So I'm definitely happy to see that we were able to uh, win very convincingly today.
Mhm.
Uh, I would have had Darren Fox played, and I would have been curious to see if we would have still been able to win. But I'll take it.
Yep. Well, it was 115 points. They were giving up about 115 points per game until Fournier got benched. And then after they benched Fournier, they started giving up 120 points per game. And then miraculously, for some reason, after that Mavs game, they decided they changed their mind. They want to start playing defense. Honestly, I don't think the scheme changed with Tibbs. I think like I said the last video, RJ, Julius, and Jalen started playing defense. They
Mm,
weren't playing defense the whole year. I
okay.
think they play defense. I think they play defense maybe the first couple of games in the season, the first three games, and they
Okay.
stopped playing defense since then. And so that's really the difference. I know a lot of people are saying it's Grimes and it's McBride. Look, it helps. Having both of them helps because it shores up your defense. But you have to
Sure.
remember Grimes was playing in all these games that we were losing. He wasn't starting, but he was playing and was getting pretty meaningful minutes in a lot of the games that we were losing as well. And so I just think it's really these three players. You have to blame them for the losses. And you got to give them credit for stepping up and playing defense for these four wins. I agree with you. It's only four, and a lot of teams haven't been at full strength. The one team I do give them credit for, or at least three quarters credit for, was the Cavs game. I think even with the Cavs was only missing their big man, that other big man they have. I can't remember his name, and I think the Knicks still would have, if they played the style of defense, they still would have beat the Cavs because that
Right.
guy gives you more on defense. He doesn't really give you much of an offense. He's really like kind of like Mitch. Get him the ball in a paint, he'll be able to finish. And so that's really who that big man is. He's just he really just helps them really shore up their defense. And I think the Knicks still would have pulled out the win even if that big man was there. So, but I do give those three guys credit, and I don't, Tibbs didn't change anything, and I just think it's those three players decided to, mostly RJ and Julius, they decided to start committing more on defense. That's what it comes out to. Funny thing, I ended up dropping a video yesterday. Yes, I put a video yesterday because I was looking at these stats because I was trying to show whether or not I was basically trying to prove. So I basically compare RJ, Julius, and Jalen stats the first 22 games, right? What their defensive stats look like the first 22 games, and what the rest of the team's defensive stats look like the first 22 games. And then I looked at the last three games that they played, what their defensive stats look like, and what the rest of the team's defensive stats look like. The rest of the team, it's the same. Nothing changed. But with RJ, Julius, and Jalen, their defense basically drastically improved. They were basically giving up. I think the last three games, uh, they were basically only allowing opponents to shoot 35% from the field combined on average. And so if you include today's game, it's probably going to be still around the same high 30s. And that's really the difference. They're playing defense now, and they weren't playing defense before. And that's why, thankfully, because the fan base are very rabid and they make their voices heard, I think, honestly, I think that's really what got to them because they were being dragged. RJ and Julius, they were being dragged in the like in the YouTube media, and I think they just couldn't take it anymore. As
Right.
silly as it sounds, that's what I think. But trying to stick to today's game, what did you like about today's game? What did you see that you liked most?
What I like, to be honest, how I felt like the Knicks were still able to uh, still gain a win, even with Julius going out,
Yeah.
losing that scoring power. Julius going out with 2 technical fouls today. Uh, the Knicks I wanted to see how they handle that adversity.
Mhm.
And then Jalen Brunson getting hurt. So you took out 2 of their best players.
Yeah.
And, were the Knicks going to fold? Were guys going to step up? And we still was able to win the ball game,
Yeah.
especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, we've seen, numerous collapse in the fourth quarter, and the Knicks were able to win, which also tells me one thing. Hey, Knicks can probably win more games without Julius Randle. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But, you know,
Yeah.
and so I was very excited to see that. I thought Mitch played well. I thought, quite a few players, played well. Um, RJ stepped up as well. Um, I'm hoping that he can continue to turn the corner for the most part, but we'll
Mhm.
see. We'll see. So, what did you think? What do you think
Yeah,
about
for
the game?
me, the thing I like most about the game was there was the one play. I don't know if it was the first half. I can't remember when it was, but somebody went up for a layup and RJ blocked the shot. I can't remember who it was. RJ blocked somebody's shot. Um, I think Mitch was out the game and Julius was out the game, so I don't think this was the first half. But RJ basically somebody went up for a layup and he just basically rejected the shot, and it just kind of showed to me he turned a new leaf. It's like it's just 180 that they've done since that Dallas Mavericks game. And the good thing that I like about it too, I think the fact that it's like this is a very good. These last 3-4 games have been such good like reward for the defense they've played. It's been a really good reward for them because they've won all 4 games. And I
Right.
think now because they're winning with the defensive effort that they're putting in, I'm hoping, I'm hoping that basically this is like now they're hooked. They know what they have to do. Hopefully they put in that effort on the defensive end that now is going to be automatic. Where like now we know they know they have to put in that effort in order to get the win, and hopefully it continues. But I like seeing that block from RJ. I don't think I've ever seen that from him before. It wasn't even like a come from behind block or anything. It was just like he kind of went perpendicular to the player. The guy was going to the rim for a layup on the right hand side, right-handed layup, and he just tossed it, rejected it. And so I think for me that was the best play. And like I said, mostly because he hasn't been playing defense and now he's playing it, and it's really good to see. So that was my favorite
Absolutely.
play in the whole game. It also
Absolutely.
marks a shift in his attitude and the team's attitude on the defensive end.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Another stat I love to point out, just from a free throw standpoint.
Yep.
Um, the Knicks shot 88%, close to almost 89%. They made 24 shots out of 27.
Hmm.
3 pointers were still pretty horrible.
Yep.
Shooting, shot 35 3 pointers, only made 8.
Yep.
Uh, as a whole, field goals, 89 shots, made 40, roughly close to about 45%. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I'll take that. And the Kings, I mean, their free throws, they shot horribly on the free throw line, 65%.
Yep.
So if they want to point a finger like how they lost the game today was free throws,
Mm.
hands down. Um, we also just from a rebounding standpoint, that's what we really miss not having Mitch. Mitch does a lot of the intangibles.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, if he could just stay healthy, God, I mean, he could, there's still, I don't think he's reached his ceiling. I don't think he's nowhere near reached his ceiling. And I
Mhm.
just think having, the right supporting guards who can figure out ways to get him involved. I'm dying to see him do, somebody to feed him in the post. I want to see what he can do personally, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
But
I agree with you with Mitch. It's like I would like the one thing I've noted with Mitch recently, he'll get an offensive rebound. Sometimes he doesn't look at the rim. He needs to learn to like start looking at the rim when he's in the paint. Don't always look to pass the ball out if he's right underneath the rim, he'll try to go up, right? But he just needs to be more confident enough. If he's even like a couple of feet away from the rim, just be confident enough to go up there, throw up a hook, and try to make it. Right? Don't just try to pass it out, and get somebody, have them reset the offense and hopefully, because that's a more difficult shot. That shot that he has when he gets that rebound is the best shot that the team is going to have. That's the highest percentage shot the team is going to have, and so he just needs to kind of keep working on his ability. Like once he gets the rebound, getting a good grasp of the rebound and being able to go back up. I know he's probably his confidence, he's still working on it and it takes confidence, but I agree with you. I think he's got more to give. And I think he could get there. He just needs to get his confidence up, and he needs to keep practicing it. The other thing with the 3 pointers, with the last video that I did, we kind of addressed that with what Tom Thibodeau was saying. He kind of got into a back and forth with the reporters after the Mavs loss,
mhm.
and it kind of spurred me to actually start digging into what he was saying.
Okay.
But one thing I did agree with him right off the back always: overall field goal percentage is more important than the 3 point percentage. You know, and so his argument was the team was going to be okay. I think they just had to start playing better defense on a 3 point shot. The team was going to be fine, that the field goal percentage was fine, and that he doesn't need to worry about our 3 point percentage because he doesn't believe that's what win ball games. He believes as long as your overall field goal percentage is higher than the opposing team, the chances are you're going to win the ball game. And the reporters were basically everybody made it seem like he was out of touch, and that he didn't know what he was talking about. However, because I've actually done the research and analysis on this, basically he's right about that. The on the traditional stats, the three main stats that determine the team's ability to win is rebounding, your field goal percentage, not 3 point percent, your field goal percentage, and then your opposing field goal percentage, like how well you play defense on your opponent. And he's right about that. And if you looked at the stats throughout the whole season, we were more efficient than the opposing team. But the issue was we weren't basically defending the 3 point line the way we should. And then when you looked at it, and he's right, it was like they were getting killed and stuff. Like he talked about it. I think it was this game. He talked about it after this game in a press conference. Maybe it was this game or like a couple of days ago. He talked about it. It's really where the Knicks were struggling was we talked about during the last video we did. It was when they get back on defense, it's like they're lazy getting back, right? And so because they're lazy, some of the guys are lazy getting back. Sometimes it causes mismatches, right? And then all of a sudden you have a big man on like Luka Doncic, or a big man on the point guard. It happens a lot with the Knicks. And then the other issue the Knicks were having was giving up giving up rebounds, giving up offensive rebounds. And a lot of those offensive rebounds was turned into 3 pointers. And then the other thing was like they were just flat out getting beat, like off the dribble, like in pick and rolls. They were getting confused in pick and rolls. A lot of times there'll be actions off the ball, like there's like back picks that happen during the pick and roll, and they just get confused on it. And it's like, so it was really the players. And so, but interestingly, just kind of going back to the 3 point shot, although we're atrocious at the 3 point shooting, honestly, bro, it's like, it really, honestly, I'm not going to say it definitely doesn't matter, but it doesn't really matter that much. They can be atrocious. They can shoot 23% the whole year from the 3 point line. As long as they make sure they defend the 3 point line, and they shoot, they're more efficient than the other team. Their 3 point shooting can be below 30%, and they're still probably be like third seed or something like that. So honestly, it doesn't really matter that much. Your 3 point shooting doesn't matter. Are
Right,
you going to be able to play defense against the other team's 3 point shot?
right, right. And the fact that this team, see, Sacramento shot 25% from the 3 point line.
Correct.
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we get killed at. I mean, there's teams that have scored, have made 20 3 pointers on us before.
Yeah.
And so, that's a major factor. You think about it, that's a possession, and that
Yeah.
should be a difficult shot. And, uh, I really believe adding Deuce, putting Deuce in the game. I mean, he's hungry.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still not playing big minutes. I don't know if he'll ever play big minutes. Even Tibbs will go to a 7-man rotation before he starts giving some of these guys any significant minutes. But what's going to happen? You're going to start finding players like Brunson. I know Randall was pretty durable, but you're going to start getting some of those players hurt, playing them heavy minutes. Or what's going to happen? You're going to start having continued epic collapses towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And and so that's I would say that would be probably one of my concerns.
Mhm.
Now, just from an total rebound, we actually, we had 55 rebounds to their 41. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's extremely huge.
Mhm.
And Sacramento was a pretty good team. I think they're ranked. What are they, around seventh? I think seventh or sixth in the Western Conference.
Yeah. Now they're 500 after losing to the Knicks. Yep.
Oh, they're 500 now? No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. They're 14 and 11. So they
Oh,
are, yeah,
oh,
they're
really?
still
Oh, they're
14.
14 and 11. Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're 14, 11. And so, yeah, they're actually number 5 right now in the Western Conference. So they're behind the Pelicans, which is insane. The impact of Zion.
Mhm.
Uh, the Pelicans, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, the Suns, and then it's the Kings. You know, um, so it's interesting. It's just, I don't think the West is as strong as they used to be.
Yeah,
I
it's weaker now.
yeah, very much so,
Yeah.
very much so. And I'm hoping, it's not switching subjects, but hoping the Mavs continue to fall. I think Luka was hurt, so they're right at 13 and 13 right now,
How
which
do you know how
means
many games he's gonna miss?
that I'm not 100% sure. But I definitely know that he was hurt. And so, but the great thing about that, um, I was under the impression that that draft pick that we have from Dallas was unprotected. Is
Mhm.
that correct? Do you know?
The Dallas pick, yeah, I think the Dallas pick is on. I thought it was unprotected, but I'm hearing mixed messages on it. I heard it was unprotected, but I heard from someone else. I heard it somewhere that it was protected, something like top 10 protected.
Top 10. Yeah, I heard the same thing recently, which was
Mhm.
kind of surprising um, that it was. And I need to find out if that particular pick, uh, if it's still protected this year. Let's just say, for instance, they fall. I can't imagine unless Luka's just out completely that they become a top 10 lottery team. But let's just say, let's just say they do. It become the eighth or ninth. Uh, does it convert over to a second round pick next year?
I'm not
That's what.
really sure. Yeah, I'm not really sure how that works. But yeah, it's not a good thing if it doesn't convey. If let's say it's top 10 protected and it comes in like top 10, I know, yeah, it's bad. At some point, I think it turns into like a second round pick. So it's definitely not a good thing. If it doesn't, let's say they're bad and it doesn't convey because it's top 10 protected and it comes in higher than 10, it's definitely not a good thing for the Knicks going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
so Luka is actually, he has a right quadriceps strain. So yeah, right quad. Um, And so, yeah, I mean, that's not nothing that's going to keep you out long. Um, so he'll probably miss a few games, just kind of rest, kind of rest it a little bit. He'll massage it out, give him a few little pain meds, and be ready to go.
Oh
Uh,
man, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I hope he misses more than that because it's like, come on, Luca, you can miss it. Like I've been waiting for him to be out the whole season. I mean, like he looks like all he does is drink wine and eat cheese, like in the summer. So it's like I've been waiting since we
Oh
made that
yeah.
trade. I've been waiting for him to be out a whole season, and it's like he's due for one. He's due
Oh
for
yeah.
an injury. You
And
know.
I'm sure he will if he does miss any games.
Hmm.
He's been bad on his weight all his life as well.
Yeah,
So he's like another Zion Williams.
yeah.
So it's just
We need a leg injury from for Luca.
yeah, agreed. Agreed.
It's like,
Agreed.
it sounds messed up for me to say it, but damn, the Knicks, we need anything for my damn New York Knicks, anything for my Knicks. I don't care what anyone says. So I'm not praying for him to get too hurt. I don't want him to be crippled or anything. I'm just saying you could miss a season. Help
Sure.
us out.
Sure. Let's get out, just long enough for us to get a good draft pick. That's all we want.
Yeah,
We want to be able to have
that's all we're asking for. But so man, it's just unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. I really do hope like they continue with these struggles and it really gets worse. There was actually something I was gonna ask you about that I totally forgot. But let me just go over basically a couple of the important stats. You already went through basically we shot 45%, and they shot 39.8, basically 40% from the field. So it was basically a 5 percentage point difference in efficiency. They were slightly better than us from three. They shot 25%. We shot 23%. But the biggest difference was basically the field goal differential, and it was rebounding, the second chance point. That's pretty much what accounted for the difference in this ball game. We got 55 rebounds, 15 second chance points, and they had 11, and so we were +4 on the offensive rebound. And then on top of that, let me see what we did with the turnovers. We were +2 on the turnover front, so it was a combined. What is that? A combined like six. Uh, Sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah, six extra possession than they had, and so it's those things. It makes a big difference. And we were more efficient than they were, and that's pretty much those are really the reasons why we won the game. In a nutshell, to keep it as simple as possible. Looking at the stats, it was the rebounding, and it was basically the efficiency. We were just more efficient than they were, and we got more second chance opportunities than they did. And also, we didn't give them as much second chance opportunities. That's pretty much how we were able to win this game. Towards the end of the game, RJ Barrett basically, it looks like he tried to take over, right? It wasn't like, I guess we had to lean on him, right? He
nope.
didn't allow us to lean on anyone else. He basically just took the ball and was like, I'm going to make this happen. And luckily, he was able to hit he did make some layups, although like it was a little touch and go in in the fourth quarter where we struggled after Julius went out. I think it started first with like, I was kind of happy McBride actually made a layup. I think he was the first one to make a layup, after Julius went out, because that's what I was very concerned about. I was concerned about basically our ability to actually finish in the paint because Jalen wasn't there, Julius wasn't there, and then on the defensive side, I was afraid, although even we would have Mitch, we got Mitch in there at some point in the fourth quarter, but every other position was pretty small. And we kind of like, the first couple of possessions when Mitch came in, we still struggled with the rebounding, but he kind of like then basically started dominating on the rebounding front after he kind of like, got into the rhythm of the game in the fourth quarter. But if it wasn't for that, we would have been in trouble. If Mitch was in foul trouble, it would have been a problem because Hartenstein, boy, he's just, he's really struggling. He's terrible. When he's on the floor, we struggle rebounding the basketball and we struggle defending the paint. And it's like, I guess it's so bad to look at because you're kind of looking at Mitch and then when Hartenstein comes in, it's like it's a huge drop off, right? It's like it's so
Right.
noticeable. And so maybe Hartenstein is really not that bad, but because you're seeing a drop off from Mitch to Hartenstein is like it just makes him look a lot worse than he really is, probably because Mitch is so good at it. Mitch only played 19 minutes in this game. This is ridiculous. He really only played 19 minutes. Hartenstein played more minutes than Mitch. That's unbelievable. I don't know how that happened. Let me see.
Well,
Was he in
oh,
foul
yeah, you're
trouble?
right. Well, you know, it's yeah, you're right because
Oh,
Mitch
he
played
fouled out.
19
That's why.
minutes.
I'm sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. But I mean, if you look at the minutes, I mean, RJ did 44 minutes,
Yeah.
right? So he's just sliding RJ around. You know,
Yeah.
I think he might be under the impression that RJ can play all five positions. I don't know. Um, you know,
Yeah.
and I just think that Sabonis, you know, wasn't at his best today.
Mhm.
Um, you know, we've been torched by Sabonis plenty of times. Um,
Yeah.
and
I mean, that's true, but you kind of have to remember is like Mitch was on him too, you know,
yeah,
and not even the whole game. When Mitch was on him, he struggled. He was like, he was clanking it off the backboard. I mean, it's Mitch is a very good defender, you know. It's like, and that's a tough task for Sabonis because all Mitch has to do there is just stand right next to him and put his hands up, and Sabonis was just throwing it off the backboard. It was like it was missing rim and everything, you know.
yeah. Well, he
Um,
still, I mean, Sabonis still had a pretty decent game.
he did,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, he still, what did he score? 20? Yeah. So
Wow,
Sabonis had
7
20,
to 10. Jeez.
7 out of 10, exactly.
Well,
seven
I
out of
think
10.
I think most of it was actually against Hartenstein. I think
Yeah.
most of it was against Hartenstein. He did like he did kind of like put Mitch in foul trouble, so he did his thing. I'm not gonna pretend, but yeah, he actually damn 70%. I didn't realize he had this good of a game. It didn't look that good because I just remember seeing like when Mitch was on him, he was like throwing it off the backboard. And I know a couple of times they called some questionable fouls. You know, I guess you know some of those. You know, um, I guess I wasn't, you know, like really paying attention to the whistle as much as I
Right.
should have.
Yeah. I think Davion Mitchell, I think was a definitely a key factor, but as far as he wasn't shooting, I mean, this kid can get hot. And I mean, he shot five. He was 3 for 5, 60%, but he only shot 5 shots. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you start looking, just even from with Sacramento, you know, Keegan Murray, I mean, he took 15 shots. Uh, you know, and so there's a lot of reasons why. That's why I'm like, I don't know if it's fool's gold just yet. Like I'm just not convinced. I mean, we've seen Knicks, we've seen us go on a winning streak, you know, a nice winning streak, and then the bottom falls out. You know, it's kind of like I I'm just not there just yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we still we definitely miss Obi's 3 point shot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we shot pretty. I mean, Julius was 3 for 11 at the 3 point line. I mean, he shot 11 3 pointers today, 11,
Yeah.
and only made three.
Yeah.
Okay, um, you know, I, you know, I would like to see if McBride's going to start getting more minutes. I would like to see him shoot more. Now he did shoot five, quickly shot five, um, but 11 is just way too much. Just way too much, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing I can say, Julius is, like I said, he's definitely playing a lot better. You know, more consistent, which means his trade value continues to increase.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, the Knicks, as constructed right now, they're not going to go far. I mean, it's just not, and they just don't have the manpower to do so. And so, and we can't keep re-signing players. Like I think even Miles McBride, this is his
Mm-hmm.
second year. He was a second round pick. So um, him and Jericho, you gotta decide if you're going to re-sign these guys.
They already
You know,
resigned. Oh well, Jericho. How many years did they give Jericho? I know they resigned him. They signed him this year because he was like,
well, they signed him. Well, yeah,
was it?
that's right. Because you know what? he was signed. He was
A two-way
a G
player
leaguer.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a two-way player. So they may not have to resign. Yeah, they probably won't have to resign him this year because he just signed his first contract.
Hmm.
But Deuce McBride, you got to figure out what you're going to do about him.
Yeah.
Um, Cam Reddish is the fact that the coach did not play, which blows my mind. Cam Reddish, Derrick Rose, Fournier has been out.
Yeah.
Uh, lets me know that there's a deal on the table. There's a deal,
Yeah.
and he has no intentions on playing him. I mean, with all those players being hurt and none of them got in, not
Hmm.
even Derrick Rose. So something is definitely brewing. Something is
Yeah.
definitely brewing.
They're
And
trying to
so,
trade them and all these guys. I would think they're trying to trade all of them. Not sure about Derrick Rose, but I definitely think they're trying to trade Cam and Fournier. But honestly, given how they've played the situation, um, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I still maintain these guys are these are stray bullets. These guys call stray bullets from the issues that Julius Randle and RJ Barrett was having. If Julius and RJ was playing defense, they were committed to defense. Yeah, honestly, I think Fournier will be the starting two guard, and he will be playing fine. He will be okay. That's just what I think. I think people are really I think that's really what's happening. I think this is if they don't get good value from the trade for these players, they don't have anyone to blame but themselves. That's really what it comes out to. Um, so it is what it is. It's a huge elephant in the room. Like what are they getting? Like what are you possibly going to get for Cam Reddish? You took him out the rotation, basically saying on the New York Knicks team he's not good enough to play for the New York Knicks. That's what Tom Thibodeau just said. And he said the same thing about Fournier for the most part. So I'm going to be very curious to see what they get out of these two players in the trade market. Um, I mean, we'll be lucky if they get first round protected picks for either of them. Um, and so it might just be two second round picks. And it's just the front office has really fouled this up, like in a lot of ways. A combination of the front office and the coach has just screwed this up. Although they're winning now, you can't take them. I'm not going to take them off the hook because they played this all wrong. They played it way wrong. And then even if you
exactly.
let's say the Knicks even keep doing well right now, you still got to think look, with this kind of defense they're playing, depending on who they meet in the first round, they could make it out the first round. I'm not going to act like they won't make it out the first round if they continue playing this kind of defense. However, there's no stars in this team. Where are you really going to go, right? And because of all the moves they've really made it difficult for them to even get a star in the future, especially through the draft or even even to get one trade. You're not there. There's no stars coming here by trade. I just don't even really
No,
see it.
it's not
Um,
going to happen.
yeah, all the good stars are going to stay with it. It looks like they don't have any interest in leaving their team. So it's just they're in a tough spot. They played this all wrong, and they're just continuously and whatever they do have players they do have to trade, they keep just like losing value on those players because they can't. They just managed everything incorrectly. You know, it's a combination of the front office fault and it's Tips fault. So and in some ways the players too. But it's like, what are you going to do? And so that's pretty much that's what we have with these New York Knicks. Um, I'm not even sure what else to say. I'm happy they're winning. I hope they continue winning. I like the defense. You got to give, like again, I'm giving RJ, Julius, and Jalen credit for the defense they played the last 4 games, and I really hope they continue. I just hope they're not playing with my emotions. Um, do you have any last words? Anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, no. I'm curious to see. Well, what's the injury report comes back regarding Jalen Brunson, and then I'm also, the next game. Who are the Knicks playing? From my understanding, I think the next couple of games are very winnable games. Uh, You know who they're playing? I think it's on Wednesday. The game is next Wednesday, and they are playing. I believe is that Miami? Does that sound right? No, that's not right. That's not right. Who are they playing?
Let's see. I'm trying to look at the schedule. Let me see. December 12th, that's tomorrow. Uh, no, okay, they don't play tomorrow.
Okay, you know what? They play the Bulls, so it's a back to back. So they play the Bulls, which is that's a little weird. It looks like they play the Bulls on Wednesday and then the Bulls again on Friday, both in Chicago. Does that sound right to you?
Knicks play the Bulls on, yep, on Wednesday. And then when do they play next?
It says Friday. Now maybe one of those games, maybe a home game, in the Garden,
Mm-hmm.
and then they play the Pacers. So they play the Bulls twice, which is I'm curious to see that game because there's been a lot of rumors regarding the Knicks looking at Zach Levine, and so I'm curious to see how he plays. Because if you bring in a guy like Zach and you put him at the two, that
Mm-hmm.
takes us to the next level. That takes us to the next level. But Zach is not, a defensive player, so he's going to
Yeah.
be another liability back at that two guard. Uh,
Yeah, he's not. I think it's gonna be back to the same issues they're having because it's like you finally get RJ to start playing some defense, and if you get like Zach Levine in here who doesn't want to play defense or he thinks he's too good for big defense, so like you're gonna be right because he's not. His offense is not so good that like it's gonna carry New York into the playoffs. He's not that efficient on the offensive end. He's not doing that kind of damage to say for him to slack off on defense. Yeah, we're gonna be right back where we were like during the like when we lost to the Mavs. So that's why that trade. I don't think the trade works. If they do it, I think that'll be a bad move. But who knows? So.
yeah, well, in the Knicks right now, we're in a three-way tie with the Hawks and the Pacers for sixth, seventh, eighth.
The Hawks and the Pacers. The Pacers, I think, they're a young squad, so I think people may end up figuring them out and they start coming back down to earth. But they are really good. And the Hawks, that's the one thing with that kid from the Spurs, though. That kid gets hurt quite. He gets injured quite a bit sometimes. The one the Hawks got from the Spurs, Dejounte
Oh,
Murray.
Murray. Yeah.
Yeah, he does get hurt a lot. I have to look at the games played, but I kind of get the feeling he does get hurt quite a bit. So, yeah, they might actually be without Murray a lot this season because that's just kind of how he is. So yeah, I definitely feel like we're definitely better than the Pacers, and I think let me look at the standing right now, and I think we can overtake the Hawks. Let me see, and then
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
he didn't play either. Um, he didn't play today. Murray didn't play. So you're
Mhm,
right. I mean, he's definitely injury prone. Um, so which has them running AJ Griffin,
mhm.
40 minutes plus, Trey Young, 40 minutes plus. Uh, so yeah. And and the only thing they have is the holidays coming off the bench, Aaron and Justin.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
they're two good bench players, but yeah, they're not going to give you much. They're really just bench players for the most part. Um, oh, the one thing I wanted to say before we actually sign off, it was more about the defense. You know how with because I went through I only did it for the Mavs game where I went through all the 3-point shots that were made by the Mavs because I
yeah,
wanted to see if it was the scheme or the players. And of course, from looking at it, you can clearly tell it was the players. The scheme wasn't really much of an issue in that game. And although people still say it's an issue because that they supposedly that they help too much, I started looking at other defenses. Only because I looked at the Celtics. Celtics employ the same principles that we're using, and they have like the best defense in the league. They do the same thing. There's like a few other teams that I've seen that do the same thing. So I'm wondering, like, a lot of the teams or most of the teams might be employing the same principle. Because honestly, because when you look at it, you look at especially the people that are doing the helping, like when a lot of times they usually use, if you have a man who's like in the corner, right? Whether if it's like on the weak side of the ball or even on the strong side of the ball, both sides are always cheating, right? They cheat over towards the paint to help to make sure somebody doesn't drive to the paint. And I looked at it, and it's like the scheme is not an issue, because by the time that whoever has the ball, right, they don't even have to drive to the paint. By the time they pass the ball to somebody in a corner, as long as the person who's supposed to run out there to challenge the shot, they don't even have to be Carl Lewis to get out there. As long as they actually hustle out there and challenge the shot, it looks like it's effective, right? They usually get there in time, because you kind of start to realize it's not really that much distance. You're not covering like that much distance, right? And so it's not, the Knicks are not the only people that are doing that. There's quite a few other teams that employ the same principles and strategy on defensive end, and it works for them. And so it's just really all about, are the players willing to actually hustle and get out there and challenge the shot, and of course the Knicks, they weren't doing it. But so yeah, that was just the only other thing I wanted to add. I forgot to talk about that earlier. But so the Knicks are not the only people that help a lot off the 3-point line, especially on the weak side or even on the strong side off the ball. So that was really interesting to see as well. But that's pretty much all I have. We'll have another show maybe on Tuesday. Maybe if I see something, I'm gonna do a little more deep dive on the analytics for the team, and on each individual players. If I see anything interesting, we'll probably put out a video maybe on Tuesday. I'll hit you up to see if you're gonna be available Tuesday evening, and we'll put something out. But everyone who's watching, thank you guys so much for checking this out. Please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to comment below, please feel free to put a comment below. I'll be more than happy to respond. And thank you guys for checking us out. Have a good one. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Dre. Talk to you soon.
Okay, buddy. All right.